Greetings, Culturians, and welcome back to the channel. I cannot believe how much Star Wars news we've had in 2 consecutive days. First of all, the good news that we're getting rid of Kathleen Kennedy. I already did a video on that one and a couple others that are also tied to it. So you're probably going to get 4 total Star Wars videos because, well, Lucasfilm is basically just Star Wars now because they killed Indiana Jones completely. But we're going to talk about the fact that there basically is no Rey movie. There was no mention of a Rey movie. It wasn't a part of the conversation with Kathleen Kennedy's exit interview with Deadline. And there's just no way that this thing, the disaster that is the Rey movie, is going to continue. I mean, who are you going to self-insert if Kathleen's gone? I don't know. But certainly not Rey. Here we go. Now, before we get started, just a real quick reminder. I'm trying to get to 50K, so please double check you're still subscribed to the channel. If not, hit the subscribe button, turn the little red button to gray, turn on the notification bell, turn on all notifications so you don't miss anything, and check out all the amazing live events that I do as well. Because, well, I've got a lot of information and entertainment, and we do a lot of humor here too, mostly at other people's expense, especially Kathleen Kennedy. But from the story on That Park Place, our friend Marvin Montanaro writes a brilliant article highlighting the fact that there was no mention of Rey. In fact, is Star Wars Rey movie canceled? No mention of Daisy Ridley film in Kathleen Kennedy's exit interview. When Kathleen Kennedy laid out the future of Star Wars in her Deadline exit interview, which I think is very funny that a trade media publication is being given credit for an exit interview when that's actually done by your employer, I, first of all, think this is a funny observation, but second of all, think it's funny that that's what it's being called. Anyway, she named nearly every major project that's still lingering at Lucasfilm. I'm going to tell you a lot of those are gone, including the, the one that I mentioned in another video, the James Mangold project that takes us back into the past in a place where all they can do is screw it up. But she even discussed the Hunt for Ben Solo film that Disney has reportedly already rejected, along with many other things that have been announced and canceled or just secretly abandoned. One highly publicized project, and you can see it here in this picture with Charmine Obaid-Chinoy as director, is nowhere to be found in the conversation, which was announced at Star Wars Celebration in London in 2023. The Star Wars Rey movie is often referred to as the new Jedi Order, starring Daisy Ridley, directed by Charmine Obaid-Chinoy of, well, radical filmmaking things such as, well, a lot of docudramas, documentaries, things that are just there to stir up the malarkey, which she does really well. Regardless, given how closely this project has been associated with Kathleen Kennedy herself, because it features her insert, Daisy Ridley, that omission is difficult to ignore. A movie once positioned as the future of Star Wars, the Rey film was unveiled with great fanfare at Star Wars Celebration, where Kennedy personally brought Daisy Ridley on stage to announce the character's return. At the time, the movie was positioned as the theatrical future of Star Wars because, remember, the Force is female, and a post-Skywalker saga reset, because that's what Star Wars needs, a reset with Rey. The new era is centered on Rey rebuilding the Jedi Order with this Cossack-looking individual who is basically not qualified to do anything in theatrical drama releases, especially not something as complicated as Star Wars. Regardless, Kennedy also selected Charmine Obaid-Chinoy to direct, a filmmaker who immediately framed the project as about gender or around gender or just, more gender ideology, which is something that has been destroying the fan base for Star Wars for the past 5-6 years, or ever since they started the reboot with the sequel trilogy, which basically set a downward slope for disaster for anything Disney did following it. She stated that telling Rey's story as a female Jedi was central to the film's purpose, because that's what we need. More of that. Obaid-Chinoy openly described her desire to challenge audiences and said that she enjoys making men uncomfortable, comments that quickly became part of the public conversation around the project, and not in a positive way. Let's be sure. Regardless of how one feels about the creative direction, the studio clearly intended the Rey movie to be a major pillar of the Star Wars future, and consider the fact that, and this is important, they invested everything in Rey, including the theme park's future, where they featured her so prominently that you are constantly reminded of just how badly Rey performed over time, from attraction to attraction, and exactly how little any of that makes you feel. Because, well, you end up being pretty numb after a day in Galaxy's Edge. Regardless, it makes the absence from Kennedy's exit interview all the more striking, because it's been so prevalent. Now, the project is stuck in development limbo. Does that surprise anybody? I doubt it. Since its announcement, the Rey movie has quietly struggled to gain momentum, or any at all, as a matter of fact. Multiple writers have cycled through the project, no production start date has been announced, and no casting beyond Daisy Ridley has been revealed. Because, well, you need to have other characters to interact with, and I don't know that they know how to do that anymore. They certainly can't write dialogue, and they certainly can't figure out good performers. I mean, Acolyte being the frame of reference, I would say Star Wars is in big trouble, especially when it comes to the creative side of the equation. Meanwhile, Ridley herself has taken on a growing slate of non-Star Wars projects, further delaying any realistic timeline. Ridley was recently stated the following movie is still happening, and confirmed that she and Kennedy have discussed it again not long ago. However, those reassurances exist in sharp contrast to Kennedy's own words, or in this case, lack thereof. In the interview where Kennedy openly discusses projects that she stalled, or are stalled, on hold, or years away from production, the complete absence of the Rey film is notable. Why leave it out? Kennedy spoke at length about James Mangold's garbage, Taika Waititi's garbage, Donald Glover's garbage, and The Hunt for Ben Solo garbage. Let me tell you, Kennedy's more like a trash man than we ever thought possible. Or maybe that was her calling. Regardless, there doesn't seem to be any hope on the horizon for the Rey project. And I, for one, am kind of grateful for that. The diminishment of the greatest franchise ever told, next to, of course, Lord of the Rings, is kind of a sad moment in a nerd history that has been destroyed by the retelling of tales from the wokest possible perspective. And honestly, Kathleen Kennedy is one of the people who injected a fresh female perspective into something that certainly didn't deserve it. On that note, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Are you looking forward to the Rey movie? Do you think that it can restart Star Wars in a positive way? Do you think that it will rise to the pinnacle of the Rings of Power? Or do you think perhaps we'll avoid the disaster altogether? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. And as always, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and may the Force be with you. Always. Just not under Disney.